Farmers are blocking border crossings with Ukraine because it is from that direction that illegal grain is entering the country. There was supposed to be transit, so the grain would go to the third world countries threatened by famine. But instead of transit, the grain is going to European markets, including Poland. In fact, the border at the moment is the main place where all the fighting is going on, because it is from Ukraine that a huge amount of grain enters Poland and floods us. And because of this, we have very low prices. Our main demand is that there should be an immediate border halt, and not like now the government has announced that the borders are to be finally unblocked, and even unblocked by force. Farmers say the way to cheat the current regulations is to change the documentation of shipments. One way could be, for example, to export the goods to Lithuania. The product is then given the status of origin from one of the EU countries. In this way, Ukrainian grain is supposed to come to Poland. That's why farmers have also started blocking border crossings with Lithuania. The visit of the head of the European Commission and the information about the unblocking of EU funds is perhaps intended to provide media coverage for the nationwide protests.
I have good news. Next week, the College will come forward with 2 decisions on European funds that are currently blocked for Poland.
This is really a very important day, and we have worked a bit on this together. Poland's prime minister announced yesterday that border crossings with Ukraine have been recognized as a piece of critical infrastructure. The role of the state is to create such mechanisms that if a threat arises, will allow us to react very quickly. The declaration by Prime Minister Donald Tusk is meant to be a reaction, among other things, to a recent provocation. One farmer hung a banner on a tractor with the words, "Putin make order with Ukraine and Brussels and our rulers." A flag of the USSR was hung next to it. Supporting Putin's narrative is treason. Farmers don't agree with this stance and say it's just an excuse to suppress their protests. The farmers are also accused of blocking vehicles carrying military aid to Ukraine, which they deny. A video has surfaced online of protests near Koszalin, where an ambulance is allegedly unable to pass through a blockade. Eventually, the ambulance reached the hospital and the patient without delay. The profile that shared this fake news had previously called for a boycott of TV Republika. We firmly declare that vehicles with humanitarian aid, military aid, and ADR-type vehicles are passed through all blockades on a regular basis, out of order, and we are not aware of any cases of blocking such transports. The words of Mr. Prime Minister are an unacceptable manipulation, aimed at suppressing the agricultural protests and diverting attention from the ineptitude of the Polish government and its failure to provide systemic solutions for failing Polish family farms. We will jointly organize protest actions until our authorities start defending Poland's interests and oppose European climate policy, which is contrary to our interests, causes impoverishment of society, and liquidation of thousands of jobs. We will not allow the EU elites to destroy our economy. On the issue of protecting domestic agriculture, the Latvian parliament has been much more courageous, banning the import of agricultural products from Russia and Belarus, including by third world countries. It is the first European country to make such a decision. Łukasz Żmuda, TV Republika.